Welcome back to Q and Assault Saturday, every single Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We are going live right here, right now, to answer any of y'all's questions. And we have about 1 billion of them so far in here. I see you guys are lining up at the gates. But that's why we're here. We try to answer any sit-start questions that you may have. Of course, as always, Underdog is hooking you up with a free square right now for new customers. They also have a half-a-yard square up there for customers that are already on the app, all right? But if you want in on the Q and Assault for next week and all of the Q and Assaults going forward, all you got to do is sign up on Underdog with our code BDGE, deposit not 10 ducks. Make sure you don't try to deposit ducks and then reach out to customer service and they're like, what the fuck is we talking about? Bucks, dollars, U.S. Treasury, okay? On Underdog, you'll get the free pick, you get the free square, you'll get in here free air. How you doing? And I'm realizing something, that the streaming software I use has its own like string of comments here, whereas like the YouTube app, YouTube platform has its own comments. So I actually don't see any of the comments that are dropped prior to me going live. So I apologize to any of you guys that were here 5 minutes early dropping your comment, but also don't be doing that shit. Wait till we go live, all right? Steven, what's good? McLaughlin versus the Chargers or drop in, pick up Dare Ngumbawale versus the Patriots? I would run out Jaleel. There's still pretty much a committee in that backfield. Also, with Akers back and Pierce back, I don't know how much is left for Dare back there. I do think he deserves a role, but I don't really know that it's going to happen. So I'm going to go with Jaleel here. Full PPR. Start 2, we got Achane and JT out. We got Chase Brown, Tyrone Tracy, Roschon Johnson, Trey Sermon, and Jerome Ford. Well, that's going to depend pretty heavily on the status of some of the other players in this conundrum here. It does sound like Zach Moss somehow full practice, good to go. It does sound like Devin Singletary is going to play as well. He's been a limited participant at practice all week. Roschon Johnson has just been getting goal line work. He hasn't actually done much outside of, scoring a few touchdowns here and there. They're going against the Jags, which is a pretty plus matchup. It's in London. You got Trey Sermon for the Colts going against a really tough Titans defense. And then you got Jerome Ford against the Eagles as huge dogs, 8.5-point dogs. So the way I'm looking at this is I'm probably trying to attach to players that are playing best recently in the best offenses, which would lead me to Chase Brown, right? With Zach Moss back, I don't know that I fully trust Zach Moss is like super, super healthy. So I'm probably going to lean in favor of Chase Brown. Tracy is a much tougher read here because if Singletary's back, you have to think that Brian Daboll, who fucking loves him from his time in Buffalo, is going to go back to riding Devin Singletary. If Singletary's out, this is an obviously auto smash on Tyrone Tracy. But if he's not out, I think I end up leaning towards Jerome Ford actually here. We got Kirk or Kyler, full PPR. Now, I know Kyler hasn't necessarily looked great, but I'm still going to go back to him here. I'm a little bit nervous that the game script for Atlanta gets like too out of hand, where we just lean on Algier and Bijan for 35, 40 touches. So I don't think we get a lot of volume out of the passing game in Atlanta here. Who would you start between Mixon, Wandell, or Brian Robinson Jr. at flex spot? So Brian Robinson was a DMP Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. It is definitely leaning towards him not playing this weekend, which is unfortunate. If he does suit up, I still think he's pretty limited. Like last week, he had a bad game outside of a couple goal line scores, but otherwise he was really disappointing. So what I would do here, I think with Malik out again, you got to roll with Wandell, especially in full PPR. So we got Philly or Denver defense. I think you got to roll Philly here, dude. Cleveland offensive line is in shambles. Deshaun Watson gets sacked 40 times a game. It's a 9-point over-under. Connor says, full PPR, 1 super flex. Bo Nix, Keenan Allen, J.K. Dobbins. Could also start Tolbert or Dobbs there. Stafford's on a bye, so I'm down bad on QB for the week. So I'm going to assume this is 4-point per passing touchdown. So obviously the question becomes, like, do we throw Bo Nix into the lineup against the Chargers defense where, They've been really good. They're coming off the bye. Keenan Allen, I don't know what he's done that we can really trust him. I know it's a good matchup, but it is also in London. So Keenan's my 3 here. I do think it's kind of close between Dobbins and Bo Nix, realistically, but I think ultimately I'd probably still roll out Nix. He's getting enough rushing work, and he's thrown for a few passing touchdowns in recent games. So I'll probably go Bo there. But I wouldn't blame you for going Dobbins, put it that way. Downs, Wicks, or BTJ, full PPR, pick one. I will roll with BTJ here. I don't love the matchup, obviously, against Chicago's secondary, but they're actually pretty banged up. They got a couple dudes that are going to be out for this London game. Like, obviously, their top corner, Jalen Johnson, is going to be playing, but he doesn't necessarily shadow people. They are going to be without Jaquan Brisker. They're going to be without Tyreek Stevenson. They're going to be without Terrell Smith. So they're without like a decent chunk of their secondary. BTJ's obviously been phenomenal. So I'm only BTJ because it sounds like Romeo Doubs and probably Christian Watson is also back here. I don't know what's going on with Joe Flacco versus Anthony Richardson right now. However, I think like even if Joe Flacco's playing, it's going to be pretty unproductive day for the offense going against the Tennessee defense in Tennessee. So I'd lean BTJ here. We got Bucky Irving, Tony Pollard, James Conner, start 2 full PPR. Well, this becomes interesting, obviously, because Rachaad White's out. So Bucky should take a workhorse role. You got Tony Pollard against an incredibly easy Colts run defense, and then you've got James Conner going against the Packers. I think I would lean Conner and Bucky, to be honest. I think we're going to see a decent amount of Tajay Spears playing in this one. I think Pollard will get his shots, but I think I lean with the other 2. Full PPR Superflex League. How would you rank these 4 for the week? We got Bucky, Chase, B-Rob, Najee Harris, and Javonte Williams. So that's 5, not 4. How you down? I would rank them probably Bucky. I'm gonna go off the assumption that B-Rob is not playing, and if he is, he's gonna be significantly lower in my rankings because he'll be very limited. So I will say Bucky. I will say the Broncos play the Chargers. It's not great. The Steelers do play the Raiders, but Najee's a fucking Cohen and Jalen Warren's coming back. I'd probably go Bucky. Chase Brown and Javonte are in the same tier for me. I think I'd go Bucky, Chase, Javonte, Najee. Cooper or Kirk, full PPR, pick one. Yeah, I'm going to roll with the guy that's not in the Cleveland offense, unfortunately. So I'll go with Christian Kirk there. Hawkinson is available on my waivers. I already have McBride, but do I drop Wicks or Downs for him? If he does well, I like to keep him since his bye is over and sell McBride. Yeah, I think I would definitely go for Hawkinson. I would probably be okay dropping either guy. I don't know who or if you're playing either of these dudes. My instinct is probably to drop Wicks. And I say that as someone who thinks he's probably going to have a very good game this week, but I just worry what his long-term plan is. Like when Watson and Dobbs are back, does he go back to being a 50% route player? Where I think Downs is going to be a 70, 80% dude and get a ton of targets regardless of who's under quarterback or who's under center. So I would be fine dropping Wicks for Hawkinson, though obviously those receivers are 2 guys I want to hold on to ultimately. Forced to start Jaleel McLaughlin as my RB2 this week. Are there any guys in the range 40 to 60 in your rankings that you could see being a sneaky start with touchdown PPR upside? Jeremy McNichols maybe, if Brian Robinson misses, even though it's not a great matchup, obviously. I don't hate Justice Hill this week. Obviously, it's a super high over-under, and they should have to throw the ball a decent amount. Justice Hill is actually not a bad pass protector either. Who else we got? Don't hate Tyler Algier in that game script versus the Panthers. You could roll the dice on a potential James Cook backup in Ty Johnson. Some people like Ray Davis more. Ray Davis, for me, I'd rather have him as a stash than Ty Johnson, but for a 1-week fill-in, I'd probably rather have Ty Johnson for right now. That's probably where I'd be leaning. Brian said half PPR, one running back, one wide receiver, and one flex. We got Pollard, James Cook, Sermon, Higgins, BTJ, Wicks. With Cook being questionable for Monday Night Football, do I leave him in the lineup, pick up Ray Davis, Ty Johnson, and pray he plays? I think because you have other good options, I'd probably roll with Pollard, Higgins, BTJ there. I don't want to try to, like, I'm nervous about the Monday night game for James Cook. He might play. I'm worried he's limited. And if he doesn't play, I don't really know who the better play is between Ray Davis and Ty. Like, I have a lean towards Ty, but even in half PPR, that makes me less secure about it. Half PPR, flex, DJ Moore, Jameson Williams, Tony Pollard. Let's get some first and last names in here, hoes. DJ Moore, Jameson Williams, Tony Pollard. So J-Mo's playing Dallas, which is a really good matchup. They might have Deron Bland back. Let me see if there's been an update on... Nope, he will not be active for this game. So you have all of them with damn good matchups. I think I would lean. This is fucking might be the hardest question I've ever answered in my entire life. Like, not even fantasy football related, not Q and Assault, sit start. DJ, Jameson, Williams. What kind of fucking team do you have that you can't get all of these guys in your lineup? That's where I go. This is how I reflect and project. When it's a question that I can't handle, I just be like, what kind of fucking league are you playing in? But actually, though, how are these all your flex options? These are fucking incredible options. Damn. I feel like the right play on paper is DJ Moore, like coming off a good week, great matchup. Caleb has been like kind of hot recently. I'm worried though about how he handles the trip over there. So I think I'm going to be off the Bears. I think I'm going to be off DJ Moore for this. As crazy as it fucking sounds, I think I might lean Jameson Williams in this game script. But I like Pollard too. I like all those options. I don't know that you can go wrong there. One more. Mooney, Kirk, McLaurin, Wicks, full PPR, start 2. Ooh, okay, so Moonstein's getting in here. Obviously, good matchup on paper. Like I said, I'm a little bit worried about the game script and them getting away from the pass game pretty quickly. We got Christian Kirk against the banged-up Bears secondary. We got McLaurin against the Ravens secondary, which is, like, good, but also kind of not good. And then we got Wicks. If this is my team, I think I'm probably rolling out Kirk and McLaurin. I like the shootout ability for Washington and Baltimore there. Start 2, Slayton, Dobbs, Christian Watson, Christian Kirk. I will go with Darius Slayton for sure with Malik Neighbors out. Love the matchup. Love what we saw from him last week with Neighbors out. And then also I will go with Christian Kirk as well. Is now the time to buy low on Miami wide receivers, or is it too early /late? I mean, you guys have all the same information I have. The problem is, like, you keep the longer you wait, the more that the people who own the Miami wide receivers also know that they're getting their guys back. So, like, the longer you wait, the less you're going to be able to buy low on them. So if you're 4-1 right now, I have no problem with it. If you need wins, then I would stay away from it. But if you're 4-1 and the Tyreek Hill owners like 2-3, 1-4, then yeah, I think some kind of swap probably makes sense. Half PPR, Tracy or Bigsby? Man, I'm gonna go Bigsby here. Obviously unless Devin Singletary's out, then we go Tracy. But I'm not throwing Tracy into my lineup with confidence unless Singletary's out, or unless we see what the split looks like and we feel good about it next week. Full PPR, 8-team league, start 1 flex. Breece, Pickens, Chuba, or Devontae Smith. You can only start one of those. Oh, I'm really about to tell you to sit Breece right now, huh? Breece, like, on paper, actually has a great matchup against the Bills, but every single Jets game is just a 40-point over-under. They fucking stink. Their line stinks. Pickens don't score touchdowns. Chuba's been fucking phenomenal, but a tough matchup against Atlanta. I'm going to go Devonta Smith here. I'm going to go Devonta. With Jonathan Taylor out full PPR, I have J.K. Dobbins, Dowdle, Najee, and Bucky on my team. You can also pick up Sermon and Tracy. Start 2. Does your answer change if Singletary gets ruled out? Oh my God, I couldn't imagine playing in a league where fucking Tracy's available. Yeah, so if Singletary is ruled out, I would play Bucky and Tracy. If he's not, I would play Bucky and J.K. Dobbins. Both guys should be in for really big workloads. Gus is out. Rashad White's probably going to be out. He's doubtful at least, which usually leads to a really high chance of being out. So start 1 wide receiver, 1 flex, half PPR, Christian Kirk, Rico Dowdle, Josh Downs, Dontavion Wicks. I'm going to go Dontavion Wicks and Kirk here. Start 3, half PPR, Pickens, Olave, Javonte Williams, James Cook, Chase Brown. Holy fuck, we just doing the same questions over and 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 over. I'm going to go ahead, and I know this is disrespectful as fuck, but if you ask like 10 questions before I got to anyone else's questions, I might skip some of your questions. And maybe that's toward Ali K, but I always notice Ali be throwing 50 quid. Not that I don't mind answering your questions, but I do want to get to some other people's questions because you've been throwing a lot in there. Start 3, half PPR, Pickens, Olave, Javonte Williams, James Cook, Chase Brown. So, like I said, I'm a little bit too nervous to just wait on James Cook. You guys know what I know. He's questionable for Monday night. Maybe he plays, maybe he doesn't play. I don't like the sound of it right now. He did return to a limited practice today, so that does start to shift things in favor of him being all right. But I do wonder what his snap count's going to be, what his explosiveness is going to be. So I would probably lean with the 2 wide receivers, Pickens, Olave, and then between Javonte and Chase Brown. That's close for me. I think I like the matchup better for Chase Brown, so I'd lean his way. Full PPR. Who at tight end and flex? Why am I reading it like that? Actually, because you wrote it like that, not me. I'm not stupid. You're stupid. We're all stupid. Full PPR. Who at tight end and flex? I have Laporta, Kraft, Wicks, Cooper, Tracy, and Tolbert. Okay, so good. I like the question. Sam Laporta versus Tucker Kraft. I kind of think this feels spicy. I know you should be playing Tucker Kraft, and I love Tucker Kraft. I like the matchup a lot, but I think we're going to see a vintage Sam Laporta game. I think he's finally fully healthy. This is the game to do it against Dallas. Really high over-under, should be high scoring. I'm going Laporta here. At flex, we've got Wicks, Cooper, Tracy, and Tolbert. It would be Tracy for me if Singletary misses time. If Singletary does not miss time, I will probably lean Wicks or Cooper are very close to me. I think ultimately I lean Cooper. He's getting the targets, and he probably should have way more production without a bunch of bullshit penalties. I'm tilting this week with JJ and Kyron on bye. Who to flex in full PPR? Tyrone Tracy, Rome, Dallas Goedert, Kittle's my starting tight end, Zach Moss or Quentin Johnson. So I'll say I'm starting Zach Moss in a league. I don't feel great about it, but he's been back to a full practice. And he's not on the injury report. I don't know if I believe that means he's fully healthy, because we've seen that before, and then got Nico Collins not on the injury report by the end of last week, and then just goes and fucks up his hamstring. It's that was the same hamstring he was fucking around with all of last week. So I just feel like people be lying all the time with injuries. That being said, I think because we don't have a injury designation on Zach Moss, and because he's supposedly fully ready to go, I'm going to lean Zach Moss here. He's been pretty good in PPR. I have him in that league, and he just sneaky puts up 13, 14, 16 points a game. Never does anything well, but just gets there at the end of the day. Then you have Rome, good matchup. Goddard, all right matchup, but he's got the 2 other guys back. Quentin Johnson, I think, is probably going to see a lot of Pat Surtain. So I actually think I probably lean Rome here, Moss and Rome. Half PPR, flex, Alec Pierce or JK? Probably JK. I just hate the matchup with Tennessee. Full PPR and tight end premium, I need 1 wide receiver and 1 flex. We got Garrett Wilson, Amari Cooper, J-Mo, Dobbins, and Goddard. Yeah, I think ultimately you kind of got to go back to Garrett Wilson here. My overall take on the entire Jets shakeup is I don't think that it matters long term. Like, I don't think this team magically becomes good or better. But a lot of times with these types of shakeups, you see this fake goodness for like a game or two, right? Like things get kind of like hyped up for a game. And I think that could change a little bit of the momentum or the mojo going on with Aaron Rodgers, et cetera. Like, he gets his way, he plays well, and then everyone's like, oh, the narrative changed, they're back. And then shit will flatten out to like what they actually are. But I do think we'll see a relatively okay game from Wilson Rodgers. So I think you have to go with Wilson still, especially coming off last week's fucking 28,008 targets performance. And then between Amari, J-Mo, I like J-Mo more than Amari. Dobbins, I wish we had seen some more pass catching work from Dobbins. But that being said, with Gus out, I have to imagine he's playing like an 80% role, 85% role here in that backfield. So I'm probably going to roll G. Will and Dobbins, which is actually, I feel like you suckered me into taking this as this is J-Mo's, not Jameson Williams, James Stain Trahan's fucking deal or no deal duo against me this week. G. Wilson and Dobbins. Sons of bitches. Full PPR, pick 3. Running back 2 and 2 flexes. We got Najee, James Cook, Javonte Williams, Rico, Jalen Tolbert, Christian Kirk, Rashid Shaheed. I'll say this. With all future James Cook questions, I'm almost going to ignore James Cook in the equation because you guys are hearing it right now. I'm going risk averse. He is not a part of the equation for me. You can decide whether or not you want to be risk tolerant with it. I'm not saying he's not going to play. I think he said he plans to play. I just don't know that I trust. He's going to be out there for long enough. I don't know that I trust he's not going to end up just fucking jamming his toe again and limping off the field. So I don't want to deal with that shit. So I kind of just take him out of the equation immediately. So for RB2, we're deciding between Najee, Javonte, Rico, Tolbert, Christian Kirk, Rashid Shaheed. I think I'd probably go Rico just because I want to kind of give myself as many pieces of a Dallas-Detroit game as I can. I'd so much rather have fantasy players in Dallas-Detroit than fucking Denver Chargers, which is going to be slow pace, like a 38-point over-under. The Pittsburgh-Vegas game, slow pace, 7-point over-under. That's a lot of the way I look at tiebreakers is, okay, all these guys are equal, talent's equal. What happens with opportunity? How many scoring opportunities are going to be available for any of these guys? That's usually where I start to look to break the tie. So I would go Rico here, even though I think he has the toughest matchup. I think the overall opportunity in the matchup will probably quell that a little bit. Then you got to pick 2 flexes. So we got Jalen Tolbert, also attached to that game, Christian Kirk, and Rashid Shaheed. I've been giving out a lot of Christian Kirk love today, so I'm just going to keep rolling there. Rashid Shaheed, I don't think I want to trust that with Spencer Rattler under center quite yet. And then I do like Jalen Tolbert, though. But do we want to go all in on the Dallas offense right now? Jalen Tolbert, Javonte. I think I'd go Javonte. I think I'd go Christian Kirk, Rico, and Javonte there. Full PPR. Choose 1 for flex. Wicks, Tracy, Wandell, Lazard. That's easy. Wandell Robinstein for me. Mikey Baby, he said, need 1 running back, 2 wide receivers, 1 flex. I think you said, I don't think you gave me a scoring setting on here, so I'm going to assume this is full PPR. We got Chase Brown, DeAndre Swift, and Rico Dowdle. You got Devonta Smith, Darnell Mooney, Dontavian Wick, Shaheed, and Downs. So I think you got to go Swift as your 1. I think you definitely have to go Devonta Smith as your 1 for wide receiver, and you need 2 more. So I think I'd go Wicks, and then I'd also go with, I think I'd play Darnell Mooney here. I think go Swift, Smith, Mooney, Wicks. How you down? Allen, full PPR, tight end premium, flex play, Tucker Kraft, Roma Dunze, Javonte Williams, Jalen Tolbert. Also, do I start Trey Sermon or Javonte at RB2? I'm kind of off Trey Sermon this week. I just don't think he's very talented, and I don't like the matchup with Tennessee. Tight end premium, flex play, Tucker Kraft, Roma Dunze, Javonte Williams, Jalen Tolbert. Yeah, I think I'd actually just go Tucker Kraft there. I think I'd go Kraft, and then Javonte. Rich or Baker. Baker goes against the Saints. Yeah, I'm going to go Baker there. Okay, this is 5 separate questions. Jesus Christ. This should be a crime. We got Chase Brown, Najee, or Christian Kirk. Really close between Kirk and Brown here. At this point, I feel like I've answered this at least 1,456 times. I don't even remember how I've answered it most times. I think I'd go Kirk here, though. Chase Brown, Jerome Ford, Christian Kirk in full PPR. Yeah, that leans even more towards Kirk. Jameson Williams or Wan'Dale Robinson, half PPR. I still go Wan'Dale Robinson with Malik out. We got BTJ, Antonio Gibson. Gibson on paper looks like a great play. I think I still go BTJ, though. And then Wan'Dale and Najee full. Yeah, Wan'Dale for show. That wasn't too bad. Oh, wasn't too bad, eh? Full PPR, 1 Superflex, Bo Nix, Keenan Allen, J.K. Dobbins. Could also start Tolbert or Dobbs there. Stafford on a bye, so down bad. I think I answered this already. Yep, definitely did. Half PPR, Keenan or Michael Wilson. You know I love me some Mike Dubs. I'm going to go Keenan, though. I'll go Keenan. Do you like Dalton or T-Law better as a quarterback this week in 4 point per passing touchdown? Yeah, so, I mean, listen, T-Law is starting to get familiar with London. He's played okay in London. And like I said, Chicago secondary is pretty banged up. We got Andy Dalton playing against the Falcons defense, which we're good, but we're not great. I think he could throw against us, so I'll go Dalton there. Full PPR, 10 team, choose 1 for flex. Wan'Dale Robinson, Wicks, Tracy, Lazard. That will be Wan'Dale unless Devin Singletary sits. Then I'll go Tracy. I'm 2 and 3, full PPR. I have Chuba and McLaurin, but I think they are sell highs. McLaurin for Devontae Smith. If you can go McLaurin for Devontae Smith, yeah, I would definitely take Smith rest of the season. Who would you start between Mixon, Wan'Dale, and Brian Robinson Jr. in flex spot, full PPR? I would go Wan'Dale there. Full PPR flex, we got Kraft, Michael Wilson, Rico. I'll go Kraft. I'll go Kraft, followed very closely by Rico. And then Superflex, Nix, or Rattler. Oh, you want to give Rattler a spin? Honestly, I think I'd give Rattler a spin there. Yeah. What up, white boy? Half PPR flex, pick 2. Zach Moss, Cortland Sutton, Dontavian Wicks. I'd go Moss and Wicks there. I like both their matchups. Bucky or Tyrone, if both are starting, full PPR. Do you prefer Marv versus Green Bay over both of them? Lastly, pick a side of the trade. PPR, London, McConkey, or Marv and Downs. So let's go one by one here. We have Bucky or Tyrone if both are starting. If both are starting, I think I would still lean Bucky here. Like, if Tyrone's starting, I think he's obviously heavily involved. I trust Tampa Bay's offense to keep running smoothly. And I also think Eric Gray will still factor in, even though he fumbled last week. So I'd probably slightly lean towards Bucky. Do you prefer Marv versus Green Bay over both of them? Yes, I do. Lastly, pick a side of the trade. PPR, London and McConkey, or Marv and Downs. Completely fucking lateral to me. Wouldn't care either way. London and Marv are exact crossouts. McConkey and Downs are exact crossouts for me too. I genuinely don't think there's a winner in that trade. I think the only tiebreaker I would have or say is Drake London and the Falcons' playoff schedule is awesome. It's like Raiders, Washington, New York Giants. So maybe I'll lean that way just for that tiebreak. The White Yaksha's got like fucking 6 questions in a row. Half PPR, Ridley, Kraft, Downs, Dobbs, need 2. I had to have answered this 20 times also because the next question is also Wicks, Wan'Dale, Downs, Dobbs, Dowdle, Downs, Dobbs, Daddle, Downs, Deans, Downs. Did I get that right? How we doing? Half PPR, Ridley, Kraft, Downs, Dobbs, need 2. I'm going to take Ridley and Kraft, Downs, Dobbs. Flip a fucking 3-sided coin, brother. There's no edge to be had there. Half PPR, Wicks, Wan'Dale, Downs, Garrett, need 2. Starting Jaden Reed already. Also Dowdle or Najee. I'd go Dowdle there, and then I'd go Garrett and Wan'Dale. Holy fuck. You're. Hi, Pookie. Oh, you were saying that to him. Is there going to be a Q&A next Saturday with y'all traveling? Yes, there will be. I don't think it'll be me. I think Adam and Andrew are going to take it over. Where do I get the full list of players for all players, not just the week 6 stuff? And I'm on the page for it now, and it's not obvious. I'm not sure what you mean by that question. I have no idea what you're talking about. What do you mean by all players? The full list of players for all players, not just the week 6 stuff. I don't even know where I was in the questions. I have no fucking idea where I left off. I'm sorry. Pick one. Spears, Christian Kirk, Amari Cooper, full PPR. I like that you just threw Tajay Spears in there to mix things up. Appreciate it. Appreciate you throwing in a guy who's clearly not the answer, but also not one of the 4 names that I keep getting asked over and over. I wonder if the move going forward for these is to like identify the 6 dudes that everyone's going to ask their questions about, and then just like make a graphic ranking those 6 dudes in order of like how I would rank them for this week in particular, and then just like leave it up on the screen. Like if I had to rank like Wicks, Dobbs, Kraft, Wandell, Josh Downs, if I just rank those dudes, I almost think I've answered every question there is. That'd be fire. I'm finna do that. The only problem is I actually never know who those dudes are this week. Full PPR, Xavier Hutchinson, Wicks, or drop any of those 2 and pick up Pop Douglas. I would play Wicks this week. 2 questions. I traded Najee for Brown. Did I win Brown? We're talking about Chase Brown, I'm assuming. I don't know that I'd say you'd win. I think I would rather take Brown over Najee at this point, though. So, yeah, I guess I'll give you the dub. The Dubbersteins. Need 1 running back, 2 wide receivers, 1 flex. Chase Brown or Swift. I could have sworn I answered this already. This one, I'm sorry that I'm saying that over and over again, but I'm pretty sure I did. I would love if you guys could just put your question in one time. It would just like save me so many headaches. I gotta lock in right now. I would play Swift, and I would play Devonta Smith, and I would play. Yeah, I did answer this. Mooney, Wick, Shaheed, Downs. Please, Micah, we gotta ask it one time, my brother. My brother's in Christ. Yeah, I missed the beginning of the video with my lineup question. Pick a flex, full PPR. Quentin Johnson, Tyrone Tracy, Zach Moss, Rome, or Dallas Goedert. I'll probably roll Zach Moss, man. I like the matchup. Apparently he's full health. So I'd go him. Quentin Johnson's going to have Surtain. Goddard's got A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith back. Don't love it. Rome has just been whatever this whole year. So unless Singletary's out, I go Moss. If not, Tracy. Drew Bay, full PPR pick 2. Javonte Sermon, Moss, Ford, Braylon Allen, or Christian Kirk. Yeah, I'd probably roll Moss and Kirk. Sick question. Uh-oh. I already know when Coding's coming in with questions, they're going to be for like the woke players. We got 1 PPR for receivers, 1.5 for tight ends. Start 1 at flex. Mark Andrews versus Washington, Ray McLeod at Carolina, or Jalen Polk versus Houston. This is what I'm fucking talking about right here, Codeine. This is where the fucking money's made. So you got premium for Andrews, who hadn't done a fucking thing. He did have a good game last week, kind of. Got tackled near the 1-yard line. Could have had a bigger game. Ray McClizzy. Let's look at the snap counts on all these guys, because I was looking at it, and I'm like, there's got to be one guy who's clearly, like, playing all the snaps and running all the routes for his team. And then when I, like, actually look at it, I don't feel confident that that's the case for any of these guys. I like Polk with Drake May coming in. I don't love him with Drake May coming in, at least not this first week, not against Houston. I want to see, a strong game. I want to see 18, 20% of the targets before he's in my lineup, something light like that. So let's see what Mark Andrews been fucking doing usage-wise. Mark Andrews has ran fewer routes than Isaiah Likely in 3 straight games. Mark Andrews has not run more than 50% of the routes since week 2. Charlie Collar has run about 15 to 20% of the routes weekly now. That's becoming a little bit of a problem. Let's look at the Falcons' fuckery of usage at wide receiver. We know London's obviously an every down player. Donald Mooney is pretty much an every down player. Ray McCloud. This is where I was leaning. I was leaning Ray McCloud. He has been like kind of like a savior for us out there in Atlanta as a wide receiver 3. Us going into the year, man, I'm like, we have Ray fucking McCloud as our 3? As our 3? Turns out they knew what they was doing out there. He's been running 95% of the routes in this offense. Good matchup against Carolina. I'll probably go there. I think there's a chance that by next week we're kind of excited about Jalen Polk because he is running a lot of the routes. He's been around 90 to 95% the last few weeks. Like to see what we get with him and Drake May. But I think for this week I'd lean Ray. Bay. Is gross out here. Tyler Goodson, Elijah Moore, Jonathan Mingo, or Isaiah Likely. Holy fuck. You talking about gross. You are not kidding. My Lord. Okay, so you have no scoring settings. Again, I'm going to assume this is full PPR. If it's tight end premium, I'm definitely going Likely here. Like I said, he's been running about 75% of the routes. Really good matchup against Washington. And I think I might end up leaning that way anyways. Definitely don't want Elijah Moore. Jonathan Mingo, Xavier Leggett's going to be back at full strength. Deontay Johnson's playing, obviously. So it's close between Likely and Tyler Goodson, but I think I actually lean Likely here. Adding Kamani Vidal in 12 team. Yep, this is kind of something I've been talking about for a minute. And now post-bye, Gus Edwards out. Kamani Vidal, I mean, listen, he'll be your quickest drop ever if he doesn't do a fucking thing this week. There's a chance that, Harbaugh, going back to his Michigan days, throws like Hassan Haskins in there as the RB2. Wouldn't put it past him, but I think, I think there's also a chance that Kamani Vidal ends up being like a pretty popular waiver wire ad this week, so he could be a sharp pregame pickup. Would you trade Breece Hall for Jonathan Taylor? I'm not trading for a dude who's in the middle of a high ankle sprain. No chance. PPR, pick one. Spears Sim, and I also have a trade processing for Bucky. Okay, well, if you're getting Bucky, then he's obviously the answer there because Rachaad White's out. Kincaid or Kraft? I have Kraft starting at the moment. Yeah, I'd probably keep Kraft in there. The next question is Kraft or Kmet. I would also go Kraft. By full list of players, I mean you're ranking one to the end. There isn't one just by positions. No, we have are you saying like every player in the NFL? We have flex rankings. Like our rankings on the website are quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and then flex. So like running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends all ranked together side by side. Like we have a ranking for that, if that's what you're asking. You just got to use a drop down to get to flex. Full PPR, start one, flex Chase Brown, Trey Sermon, Darius Slayton. I think I like Darius Slayton the most there. Sorry, just joined in late. Not sure if these questions have been asked. Need the handcuff for Cooks on Monday Night Football. Who's the guy? There won't be a guy. It'll be a committee between Ray Davis and Ty Johnson. I wouldn't feel comfortable starting either of them. If I'm in a full PPR league and I had to choose between one of them, it would be Ty Johnson. I think he's probably the pass catcher there. We also don't know what's going to happen on the goal line. I was never a huge fan of Ray Davis just as a pure talent. I think he's a very average running back, maybe slightly above average, a dude who can do everything. He's like a Mike Davis type where it's he could put together some good games. He could play a good game or two, but over the long run, he's going to be a very average running back in my opinion. So if you have Cook, if you have James Cook, I think it's worth owning one of those guys just to see what happens there. I think maybe long-term Ray Davis is the better play. I think for this particular week, though, I'd probably go with Ty Johnson if you're just looking for a one-week fill-in. Who are your favorite Didn't put it on screen. Who are your favorite streaming defenses? I have Chicago currently, but Buffalo is on the waiver wire. Yeah, I don't know that I like either of those very much, to be honest with you. Like Chicago's only a 1-point favorite, and they're traveling all the way to London to play this game. They're pretty banged up in their secondary. Like I like them, but I don't love them. Buffalo, they're 2.5-point favorites. They're on the road though in New York. That's a tough environment, obviously, to play in. If Atlanta's available, I kind of like them. 6-point favorites against Carolina. Baltimore's not going to be available. Philly, if they're available for some reason, 8.5-point favorites against Chicago that lets up 1 million sacks. I don't hate Tampa Bay going against Spencer Rattler his first game. Green Bay, 5.5-point favorites at home against Arizona are good ones. So, I would look at Atlanta in terms of ones that could be available on your waiver wire. Atlanta, Philly, Green Bay. Got a little Dino question. Sorry, last question. Dynasty, half PPR, 1 running back, 1 flex. We've got Ford. Okay, this ain't really a dynasty. This is just a sit start. Jerome Ford, Tank Bigsby, Javonte, Roshan, Keenan, and Sutton. So if we need 1 running back, I'll probably go Tank. I would just ride the hot hand. And then you need half PPR. Sutton against the Chargers is tough. Keenan against Jacksonville's a good. Keenan's just such a tough fucking read right now. He hasn't done a damn thing. He did get such a high target number in that Week 1 game, but they didn't do much with it. I think I'd probably roll with Tank and Javonte. Ray baby, how you don't? Didn't know the Bears secondary is banged up. 4-point per pass. Touchdown, T-Law, or Caleb and Tottenham Hotspur. Yeah, I mean, they're banged up, but they still do have like 1 or 2 of their top guys. So I don't want to like over-exaggerate, but it does make an impact anytime, you start losing players, because then you're not the same team, right? You're now filled with like second and third string players. So I would still ride with Caleb there. Full PPR, Christian Kirk or Antonio Gibson. Ooh, this is interesting. I think I'd actually go Gibson here. I think I'd roll Gibby out. Thoughts on the trade value at the moment? I am 2-3, leaning 3-3 this week after Thursday Night Football. I said last week I traded away Pacheco for him. Who? Thoughts on whose trade value? Trade away Pacheco for him, but do I hold or try to get a wide receiver that can provide fantasy output now? Is there supposed to be a name in there somewhere? Am I bugging? Am I tripping? Mantras is zipping. This is Tails. I'll take Tails, please. How you down? I drafted Puka, Arashi Rice, Nico Collins, and Jalen Waddle in my 12-man full PPR. Is my season over? It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be, but it might be. Unless you nailed a couple quarterbacks, unless you nailed some depth, some running backs. It's really hard to pull off trades if you didn't, absolutely dominate a position. Like, even in your idiot league mates, I'm 2-3 right now because I've had so many fucking injuries. But I drafted well enough to the point where I have, 5 starting wide receivers that are healthy now-ish. A.J. Brown, Kupp, Higgins, Jordan Addison, George Pickens. So I have 5 top 30-ish wide receivers ranging all over the place. That gives me some flexibility to trade, and I can maneuver even after a slow start. But if you just get nailed with long-term injuries, Puka's going to be out till week 9, 10. Rashi's obviously done. Nico, I don't even think his is going to be a 4-week stint. I think it's probably closer to 5 or 6 weeks. Waddle's just might as well have tore his fucking hamstring without Tua. Yeah, you're in big trouble unless someone wants to, what I would maybe try to do is start selling those Jalen Waddle Pukas to guys that are 4-1, 5-0. If a dude has a long-term vision and is already I'm making the playoffs, I can give you some value now for some dudes that I think are going to pop later on in the season. Those are the only moves. You got to swing a little bit. You got to risk it a little bit. You got to sell Waddle for, I don't know, fucking a mid RB2, low end wide receiver too. You gotta sell him for like a fucking Wandell and Zach Moss or something like that, and try to start to pad your starting lineup a little bit. You got to start doing the same thing with like Puka, and see if you can get some stacks going. See if you can go to the CJ Stroud owner if he's in first or second place and offer him Nico Collins for the playoff run, something like that. Like I would start to move that way if you're deep in trouble. Speaking of deep, we are deep into the questions on this one, so I will wrap it up at 45 minutes. I am sorry if I didn't end up getting to your question. Hopefully I answered somebody else's question that had a lot of the same players in it. I think what I'll end up doing from now on, because this is gotten to a point where like I can't get to everyone's questions. A lot of them are overlapped questions, so I'll probably try to get to what do you guys suggest I do for this, honestly? Because you guys are the ones that watch and want the answers for them. But like I don't think it's a high quality piece of content if I just keep answering the same questions over and over again. Do you think I should just try to answer the most popular questions like that have the same 5 to 7 names in the beginning of the video, like 3, 4, 5 times, and then skip over those types of questions and just answer questions from guys that I haven't actually seen? Like I feel bad not answering every single person's individual question, but it gets to a point where it becomes repetitive and like it's a bad piece of content and not as valuable for most people. Even though it might help one person, but I probably answered their question in another form through somebody else's question. If you have any suggestions for that problem and that solution, let me know. Okay. Dynasty full PPR trade. I got you with this last one. Quick review. Dynasty full PPR trade. I was offered Drake London for BTJ straight up. I do have Penix on taxi for future years. I don't know what to do. I'm extremely high on BTJ. I think it's fine both ways. I think they're both like top 10, 12, 15 assets. I don't think there's like a huge lean one way or another. London's obviously like in the midst of a breakout. BTJ's clearly breaking out as well. The good thing about London too is like he's been in the league now for 3 years, and it's not like, okay, you're getting a much younger player. You got to understand, like Brian Thomas obviously came in and he's a rookie. He's 22, but Drake London's only 23. Like he just turned 23, so it's not like you're getting a dude who's 3 years further in his career in terms of like usage and stuff like that. So I don't really have a lean one way or another. I guess if you have Penix, I probably just stay with Drake London, to be honest. All right, homies. I'm a dip out of here. Good luck with your Week 6 matchups. I'll see you back here for next Saturday. Again, the easiest way to get into the private live stream is by going to Underdog Fantasy, signing up with our code BDGE, deposit $10, and you will get access to the Big Dog membership for the rest of the season. Mwah. I love y'all. Thank you for hanging out with me today, and good luck.